Hello, welcome back to Rooted in Relationship when managing behavior isn't working. I'm your host, PCI certified parent coach, Rayleigh Pierce. I want to start today with a confession. And if you're a parent of a kid who seems to need you for everything, who won't start their homework without you hovering, who can't get dressed without 3 check-ins, who asks you what to pack for lunch and they're 10 years old, this one is for you. Here's the confession. So when my kids were little, I fell into the same trap so many of us fall into. I thought my job was to teach them to do things, to be independent, to be responsible, to be able to make their own lunch, zip their own jacket, pack their own bag. I thought if I did my job right, they would launch like a little rocket up and out, right? Oh, and then I met the work of Dr. Gordon Neufeld, as you know. And he flipped everything upside down for me. He says children do not grow up by being pushed out of the nest. They grow up by being nested. That the more deeply held a child feels, the more they want to, or the more they venture forth. He calls it emergence. It's the spring inside a child that pushes them outward into the world toward curiosity, toward ideas, toward their own thoughts and wants and dreams. And here is the kicker. That spring does not get built by our pushing. It gets built by our holding. So let me tell you a story. I'm going to call her Sarah. Sarah came to me. She has a son who was around 7, and she was worried. He wouldn't do anything on his own. He wouldn't pick out his clothes. He wouldn't sit down at the table and do his worksheet. He wouldn't even pour himself a bowl of cereal without asking her for help or wanting her to do it. And the well-meaning world around Sarah was telling her things like, you need to back off and you're doing too much and he needs to just learn, right? And give him choices and make him responsible, give him consequences if he doesn't, all of the things, take away things if he's not doing what he should do. And so she had tried the sticker chart. She had tried the chore list on the fridge. She had tried saying, you pick, buddy, red shirt, blue shirt. And every single morning, it just ended in tears or a power struggle or defiance, what we would call defiance, which is, as you know, I call that counter will. Yeah, all the things, his tears, her tears, everybody's tears, just exhaustion. And when Sarah and I first talked, she said something that I do hear a lot. And she said, I do feel like I'm just failing him. Everyone else's kid is doing this kind of stuff. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with my kid? No. And I took a breath and I said, Mama, no, nothing is wrong with your little guy. And so I just said, listen, I need to tell you something that goes against every piece of advice you're getting. Your son is telling you with everything he has that he's not ready for what you're asking. And the more you push, the more he's going to dig in, not because he's stubborn, not because he's spoiled, but because his little self does not yet have the fuel to venture out on his own. I told her about a plant. I love the plants and the tree analogies. So imagine a tulip bulb. I love tulips. They're like my favorite flower. Just imagine this little tulip bulb sitting in the cold, dark earth. Underneath, it's doing that quiet work of becoming. And one warm day, it pokes its head up and unfolds. Now, what made that tulip bloom? Was it you standing over the dirt yelling, come on, bloom? Everyone else's tulips are already up. No, it bloomed because the conditions were right. because it was held by soil and water and the sun coming back around. Our child is the same. When the conditions are right, the wanting to do it myself will rise up on its own. Our job is to be the soil. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, because Sarah thought it too. She was like, excuse me, Rayleigh, but isn't this just coddling him? I mean, won't he be that 25-year-old living in my basement? I get it. We all have that fear that if we don't toughen them up now, they'll never make it. But here's what the research actually shows. The kids who turn into the most capable, creative, independent adults, they're not the ones who are pushed hardest. They're the ones who had at least one adult who saw who they were becoming and paved the way for it. One adult who said, I've got you. You can lean on me. I'll help you with this. It's my job to make this a little easier right now. That's it. That's the secret. Dependence is not the enemy of independence. Dependence is how we grow independence. So I asked Sarah, what if we flip this around for a week? What if instead of trying to make him more responsible, we made him feel more at home? And she looked at me like I was a little bit crazy, which I get. My clients often look at me that way, and I'm okay with it. I said, here's what we're going to do. For 1 week, I just want you to stop offering him choices in the morning. Pick out his clothes for him, lay them on the bed. Here's what I picked out for you today, buddy. I thought you'd like these. I want you to make his breakfast. Sit next to him while he eats. I want you to pack his backpack. And I want you to say with a warm smile, I'll take care of this. You just come be with me. Now I know, every fiber of a modern parent wants to scream, but he's 7. He can do it himself. Yes, honey, he can. That's not the question. The question is, does he want to? Does he have any energy for it? Because children who feel depleted, who feel alone in the task, who feel like they're being pushed, they have nothing to venture with. So Sarah called me 1 week later. We had our session 1 week later, and I could hear it in her voice before she even got the words out. She said, Rayleigh, something weird happened. And I said, tell me, girl. And she said, yesterday morning, I laid out his clothes, and he looked at them and he said, Mom, I actually want the green shirt today, not the blue one. Can I go get it? And, I said, oh my gosh, that right there, that is emergence. And she said, and then last night, he asked if he could make his own toast. I didn't even bring it up. I was like, sure, buddy. And he made it, and he was so proud. Here is what happened. Sarah stopped working for his independence. She started resting into the relationship. She filled him up with closeness, and when his little cup was filled, it was full, the venturing forth happened on its own, because that is how nature designed it. Neufeld has a line that I love so much. I have it written on a little card here on my desk. He says, we were never meant to work for love, but to rest in it. We were never meant to work for love, but to rest in it. And our kids were never meant to work for our love either. They were meant to rest in it. And it is out of that rest that all the good stuff grows. The curiosity, the initiative, the I want to do it myself, the I have my own idea, the I disagree with you and I can say so, all of it out of rest. I used to see as an admissions director. I was the admissions director for 10 years at a Waldorf school, and I would often have parents who would contact me and let me know, we really think your school is amazing. It has, art and movement and academic vigor and rigor. It looks great. And especially students coming into like high school. And our child, our rising star here, he's not doing well in public school or this other private school. And we need him to be inspired. We want him to be motivated. We want your school to be that for him. And, we just have this yearning, right, as parents to see this emerging energy. And we think it's a new school. We think it's, a person, a teacher. Obviously, some of these things can inspire us as humans and we can get a little spark lit. But when we're fully accepted and connected to someone, primarily a parent, who really sees us and gets us and just isn't interested in making us be someone or do something before we're ready to do it, this allows for this emergence. And I think so it's just a lot of pressure to think that a school or a program or a teacher or another human or whatever it is that is going to do this for a child. And we don't understand it. We think that these things have to be taught, and it's something that emerges out of this rest. And so, again, so many parents want their children they want this emergence at a certain age, or they think if they can do this, then I shouldn't be doing it. And I really loved one of my mentors here at the Neufeld Institute. She was sharing a story about her 12-year-old who obviously can brush her own teeth, but kept kind of giving pushback around toothbrushing and kind of wanting her mom to be in the bathroom, kind of just a strange, like a little child would do. And my colleague, being a therapist and being a Neufeld faculty member, knew oh, this is not about the toothbrushing at all. This is about her feeling disconnected from her, disconnected from her mom, not seeing her mom enough, too much separation that became unbearable, that was now creating this hunger, this attachment hunger for more connection with her mom. And so my colleague, just with her wisdom, recognized this and turned to her child, her 12-year-old tween, and just said, you know what, I don't think we're spending enough time together. Let's make sure that we spend some extra time tonight at bedtime and have a good chat. And so she extended the bedtime routine in a way made room for more time, more connection, more chats, whatever she knew would fill her daughter up, and didn't make a big deal out of her daughter demanding kind of like this idea of help around the toothbrushing. She met that need, but she took the lead of it. She took the lead by saying, hey, you know what? I need more time with you. I feel like I miss you. Oftentimes we just kind of meet a child where they're at, where we just kind of fill them up with exactly kind of this idea of well, you just need this. I'll give you exactly that. And if that meets the need, then I can go and do what I need to do. And she overextended, right? She met the need, and plus that, she came in, took the lead of the connection. She didn't name it well, it looks like you need more connection with me. No, guys, we don't reveal that. Never tell kids your secrets. That is ridiculous. No, we do it. It's a secret. It's a secret, plan of ours to come in and fill that, satiate that cup, that emotional cup. So don't reveal your secrets, guys. Don't be telling kids so I'm learning how to be a good parent, and that's why I'm listening to this podcast so I can better parent you. No, so many of you are giving away that secret. I'm no, don't tip your cards, friends. This is a secret podcast for parents only. We do not let the kids in on it. And if the kids are listening right now, this is top secret. No, they shouldn't be listening. All right. So if you're a parent right now and you're listening to, or if you're watching your child struggle, right, to do the things other kids seem to be doing, if you're the mama who is just white knuckling your way through mornings, you're doing all the things the parenting books tell you and it's not working, I just want you to hear me. Back off the pushing, lean into the holding, be the soil. And here are a few simple things that you could do this week. I'm not going to give you a big plan, just little seeds. 1, pick one thing you have been pushing your child to do on their own. And this week, do it for them, warmly, with love. I've got this for you. I can do this for you. And I don't want you with the expectation that in a week it will turn around. Your child may not be ready to run with the emergence for another year or two. We don't know, right? We have no idea when this little plant will grow this new shoot out. And we'll see that emerging energy around this particular task. So I need you to lean into it with patience. That was just a serendipity that this little 7-year-old had this emergence around getting dressed. Now, he was at a good age for that. He had the capacity. He needed the I want to do it back. And that was from a state of rest, knowing that he could kind of take advantage of the idea that somebody's got me. I feel full, satiated, emotionally at rest. Okay. 2, build in one small ritual of connection every day. Every day. Not a big deal, just something your child can count on. Like, you don't have to be major, like you're not spending money on this child, this kind of thing. A little song at bedtime that is your ritual, or a special snack that you do every day after school. I'll never forget. It's imprinted in my whole being. My mom would make me this special snack, not every day, but like just on these really random little occasions that I'd just be sitting watching Mr. Rogers and she'd be making dinner or something. And she'd come in with this little bowl of Cheerios and chocolate chips for me. Oh my goodness. I wasn't begging for that or asking. She would just come in and she would smile and she would give me a little hug and she'd say, I made a special little treat for you. And it was just magical. That would fill me so much, those little special snacks. Just just spending maybe 10 minutes with your child. Could be a silly little handshake before they go in the car. Something that says you're mine and I'm yours. 3, stop giving your young child a bunch of choices. I know this is so counter. It's really hard because we just are told this over and over, like we need to give this child autonomy. And there are some kids. I was working with some families with a child with like PDA. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's pathological demand avoidance. And with that child, that seemed to really work well. So, I'm not going to tell you to stop doing something that you found as something that works, but I'm just sharing that if you're struggling with this, it could be that the choices are backfiring, especially with kids who are under 7, that they can get very overwhelmed with choices. And they really need you to be the benevolent governor who just does for the child. And it's out of your doing for them that emerging energy will take place when they are ready. So try saying, this is what we're doing. This is what we're eating. This is what we're doing. Around food, I would never recommend actually telling, asking children what to eat. I have more information about that. I'll think of doing a podcast about food and meals. So this is just how we do it in our family. And it can really help and put a child at rest. They can relax into that structure. 4, and this one might be the hardest. Notice when you're working harder at the relationship than your child is. That can be a sign that something is upside down. Children they're built to lean on us. We are not built to earn them. rest in the love, rest in the relationship. So if you're really needing to work hard to connect with this child, yeah, that's something to think about. They should be resting in you. They should be needing you. And so that can be an interesting little sign. So many of you know, I am a Baha'i. That's my spiritual life. I was raised as a Baha'i. And I've mentioned this one particular quote before because it's just so beautiful. And just the idea that every soul comes into the world like a mine, M-I-N-E, a mine, like a cave mine, a mine full of gems. And the work of the parent, like the work of a gem cutter, is to bring out what is already there, not to put gems in, but to draw them out. Whatever you are, wherever you are in your own faith tradition, or even if you don't have one, I think most of us know this deep down. Our children, they're not empty buckets we have to fill up with skills. They are already someone. And they're waiting to unfold, to emerge in the safety of our love. And I can say many families of faith really get, I wanted to say get their panties in a twist, but maybe that's not a proper thing to say. But just, we get very stressed and anxious because our children, we want them so badly to be courteous, to be kind, the spiritual qualities that we all want, human qualities, to see in our children. And we tend to think they should be showing up sooner than a child is capable. I want to remind you that qualities, generosity, true generosity, not performed. So we can ask our children to perform these things, guys. We can ask them to be courteous. We can demand kindness and all of these spiritual qualities, helpfulness. We can demand the performance, right? But if we wanted to see our child truly be helpful, truly be kind, when no one was looking, when we were standing there in the kitchen and the neighbor comes to the door and leans in and says, "Oh, hey, Cooper, happy birthday." And little Cooper's standing there and he has a blank stare at the neighbor, and we're like super embarrassed. And we're thinking, oh my gosh, my kid is so weird. He's not even saying thanks or anything. He's just staring at this neighbor after they've said happy birthday. Yeah, we can have these expectations like, what's wrong with my kid? Why are they being so rude? No, he's not being rude. He probably got overwhelmed with, like, what do I say? Like, children who've been on the planet for only 5 to 7 years, they're still learning how to respond to as a human being in these ways. It's not emerging yet. The way that it comes about isn't through you putting it in there. It's already in there, but we've got to cultivate it by modeling it. So there you are in the kitchen. You're like, "Oh, Nancy, thanks so much. Yes, he is having such a big day today. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you to come by and wish him a happy birthday. We love it. Don't we? Don't we, Cooper? Yeah, that's so great. Thanks, Nancy. You have a great day too." Right? We model for them. Like, we go to someone's house for a play date, and we don't necessarily have to say, "Okay, no, you need to say thank you for the play date." You can script it. It's fine. That's not teaching them to have good character. That is scripting, which is fine. It's giving them the words to perform. And we do perform sometimes before it's authentic. So I think that's an interesting thing for us to just understand. And that's why it's not coming out necessarily when we're not looking. It's because we've scripted it. We've had them perform it, and it's not coming out of them naturally yet. But it will. It will. I mean, I can share with you. I was white knuckling it. I was white knuckling it because I so wanted to see these fruits of maturity, of emotional maturity in my children. And here we were, this lovely little Baha'i family, and I wanted to see my children be courteous, be kind, to share, to take turns, to be generous, to be helpful, all the things, right? We want to see that as families. And I didn't see that always, right? And I had to remind myself. I was so grateful for my newfound mentorship and my colleagues who were so great. And even in the Waldorf community, where they really focus on development, they don't demand things to happen at a certain time. They know they're unfolding, and I was very supported as a parent because of this. And it was a great relief. Doesn't mean that I didn't really want it. I did. And I did script, and we would practice. We would role play together, right? We would role play. And, guests were coming. Let's role play. How do we answer the door? So some of these things are great. Like we can script it. It's just not natural yet. I think that's what I'm trying to help you see is that please acknowledge that you're scripting, that you're modeling until one day it does. And if you know my children, you have seen that without me around, these are some good people out there. I've raised some good people who their emerging energy, it developed, it unfolded, and their kindness, their generosity, their helpfulness. Oh my goodness. I'm so like, it's so beautiful to see, guys. It's so beautiful. Please be patient. Please allow the unfolding. Yeah, it happens. It happens. And it will be a real delightful thing to see. So this week, less pushing, more holding, less instruction, more presence, and watch what happens. If something in today's episode made you go, oh my goodness, that is my house, that is my kid, I want help with this. I want you to know you don't have to figure this out alone. I offer a free clarity session for parents where together we can start to see your child through this developmental lens and begin a real parenting practice with support. You can find me over at innerlifeparenting.com and book right there. I'd love to meet you. Until next time, friends, rest in the love. It really is the whole thing.